The transformation in Kiru over the next 2 weeks was remarkable. His coat became shiny and smooth. The infections cleared up completely. He moved with an energy that surprised everyone who had known him before. He jumped higher, ran faster, and seemed generally happier. But the bigger transformation was in Nara. Every evening, she came to Hyunwoo's quarters for lessons. He taught her how to check Kiru's scales for cracks, how to clean between them properly. He showed her how to inspect paws for thorns or cuts, how to check teeth for buildup, how to read body language that indicated discomfort. You see how his ears go back when I touch this spot? Hyunwoo demonstrated. That means it is still sensitive. We need to be gentle there until it heals more. Nara watched carefully, taking notes on her datapad. I never paid attention to his ears before. I thought they just moved randomly. Ears tell you a lot. Forward means interested or alert. Back means uncomfortable or submissive. Flat means scared or angry. It is the same with many creatures across many worlds. Evolution finds similar solutions to similar problems. During one lesson, Nara asked the question that had been bothering her. How did humans learn all this? You said you lived with predators, but how did that even start? Hyunwoo pulled up his datapad and showed her images from Earth. This is a wolf. Thousands of years ago, some wolves started living near human settlements. They ate our garbage, and in return they warned us about danger. Over time, we domesticated them. Now we have dogs which are descended from wolves. Nara stared at the image of a wolf. It looked fierce with sharp teeth and intense eyes. And humans just let these live with them? Not at first. It took generations. But humans learned that working together was better than fighting. We gave them food and shelter. They gave us protection and companionship. Both species benefited. He showed her more images. Humans swimming with dolphins. Humans riding horses. Humans working alongside elephants. Humans with cats curled up on their laps. This is a shark, Hyunwoo said, showing a video of a human diving next to a massive predator. They can eat humans easily. But if you understand their behavior, if you respect their space and move correctly, they usually ignore you. Some researchers have been studying the same sharks for years. Nara watched the video with wide eyes. The human is not even wearing protection. Nothing between them and those teeth. Protection would make the sharks curious. They might bite to investigate. Better to just be calm and let them pass. Most predators do not attack unless they feel threatened or are very hungry. But what if you are wrong? What if you misread the situation? Hyunwoo shrugged. Then you might die. But humans decided that understanding other species was worth the risk. We learned more from working with dangerous animals than we ever did from hiding from them. He showed her images of Earth itself, dense jungles where every plant could poison you, deserts where the heat could kill in hours, oceans with storms that could sink ships, mountains so high that there was barely any air to breathe. This is a death world, Nara whispered. This is home. Hyunwoo corrected. Yes, it is dangerous. We have creatures that can kill with a single bite, weather that can destroy cities, diseases that can wipe out populations. But we learned to adapt. We studied everything. We experimented. We failed a lot, and many humans died learning these lessons. But we kept trying. Why? Why not just avoid danger? Because danger was everywhere. We could not avoid it, so we had to understand it. And in understanding it, we found that most things are not as dangerous as they seem if you know how to interact with them properly. Over the following days, word of the lessons spread through the ship. Other crew members started showing up, curious about Earth and human methods. Hyunwoo found himself giving impromptu lectures in the common area. You have to understand, he explained to a group one evening. Humans were not the strongest species on Earth. We were not the fastest or the most poisonous. We did not have claws or armor. What we had was intelligence and the ability to learn from everything around us. But how did you survive against all those predators? Someone asked. We learned their patterns. We made tools. We worked together in groups. And most importantly, we learned that not everything that looks dangerous wants to hurt us. Sometimes creatures are just scared or hungry or protecting their territory. If you can address those needs, you can usually avoid conflict. Taemin, who had been listening from the back, spoke up. This explains much about human behavior. You always seek to understand before acting. It is a survival trait, Hyunwoo agreed. Humans who rushed into situations without understanding them usually did not live long enough to have children. So we evolved to be curious, to study, to learn. It is in our nature now. One crew member, a young engineer named Dihan, asked, "Is that why you noticed Kiru's problem when we did not?" Because humans are trained to observe everything? Partly, but also because I did not have preconceptions about shard claws. I just saw an animal in discomfort. Sometimes an outsider's perspective is valuable precisely because they do not know what they are supposed to ignore. Nara, who had been sitting quietly, added, "In my culture, we are taught that shard claws are too strong to show weakness. So even when Kiru was showing signs of distress, I interpreted them differently. I thought he was just being active or training hard. I saw what I expected to see." "That is a very honest admission," Taemin said. "I learned it from watching Hyunwoo," Nara replied. "Humans seem to be very good at admitting when they are wrong." "On my world, admitting mistakes is seen as weakness. On Earth, admitting mistakes is how we learn," Hyunwoo said. "We have a saying, failure is the best teacher. Every mistake teaches us something if we pay attention." The discussions continued over many evenings. Hyunwoo shared stories about Earth, about human history, about the mistakes and successes that had shaped his species. The crew shared their own stories, their own cultures and traditions. Slowly, understanding grew. The crew stopped seeing Hyunwoo as a strange outsider. They started seeing him as someone with valuable knowledge, a different perspective that could help them all. Kiru became something of a ship celebrity. Other crew members would stop by to see the Shardclaw who loved grooming time. Kiru, feeling better than he had in years, was more social and playful. He would greet crew members in the corridors, and some of the braver ones even started petting him. "I never thought I would see a Shardclaw act like this," Isul said one day, watching Kiru play with a toy that Hyunwoo had made for him. "They are supposed to be dignified and fierce." "He can still be fierce when he needs to be," Nara said. "But why should he be fierce all the time? That is exhausting. Now he can choose when to be a warrior and when to just be comfortable." "That is a very human philosophy," Taemin observed. "Maybe it is a good philosophy," Nara replied. "Maybe humans understand something we forgot. Strength does not mean suffering. Power does not mean never showing vulnerability. Real strength is being able to ask for help when you need it." One evening, about a month after the bubble bath incident, Hyunwoo was in his quarters when Nara knocked on his door. She looked excited about something. "I contacted my homeworld," she said. "I told them about Kiru, about what you taught me. At first they were angry, said I was insulting our traditions. But then I sent them videos of Kiru now compared to before. I sent them the medical reports showing the infections he had. How did they react? They were shocked. Some are still resistant, saying our ways have worked for thousands of years. But others, especially younger handlers, are interested. They want to learn more about human-animal care methods. I might have started a small revolution," Hyunwoo smiled. "Change is always hard, but if it helps creatures like Kiru, it is worth it." "There is more," Nara said. "The Galactic Council is interested in human expertise with dangerous species. They want to know if humans would be willing to share knowledge about animal behavior and care. Apparently several species have similar problems with their companion animals, but no one wanted to admit it." "That is interesting. I am just one human, though. I am sure there are experts on Earth who know much more than I do. But you are the one who showed us it was possible. You are the one who looked at a creature everyone else feared and saw someone who needed help. That takes a special kind of courage." Hyunwoo thought about that. "Or maybe it just takes not knowing enough to be afraid. Sometimes ignorance and courage look similar." Nara laughed. "That is a very human thing to say, too, making wisdom sound simple." As she left, Hyunwoo looked at the picture of Earth on his desk. He thought about his home world, about all the dangerous creatures and difficult situations that had shaped humanity. He thought about how those challenges had taught humans to be adaptable, curious, and persistent. Maybe humans were not special because they came from a death world. Maybe they were special because they refused to let that world make them cruel. They had learned to be gentle with strength, careful with power, kind even when it was hard. And maybe, just maybe, that was a lesson the rest of the galaxy needed to learn too. Nara's legs gave out and she sat down hard on the cargo bay floor. She continued to stare at Kiru, who was now trying to lick bubbles off his own nose, looking completely ridiculous. "This is not real," she said. "This cannot be real." "It is very real," Hyunwoo said. He went back to rinsing Kiru's fur, washing away the last of the soap. "And we are not finished yet. I still need to treat the infected areas and make sure all the parasites are gone." "I do not understand." Nara's voice was small, so different from her usual confident tone. Shardclaws are warriors. They are strong. They endure pain without complaint. That is what makes them worthy companions. Or maybe, Hyunwoo said carefully, they endure pain because they have no choice, because no one is checking to see if they are actually okay. Taemin moved closer, studying the water running off Kiru's body. It was brown with dirt and parasites, yellow with infection discharge. Isul, in your medical opinion, how serious is this? Isul crouched down to examine Kiru more closely. The Shardclaw led her too relaxed to care. She touched several of the inflamed areas, checked his teeth, looked at his eyes. The infections are serious but treatable, she said finally. The parasites are causing chronic pain and likely affecting his mobility and energy levels. If left untreated for much longer, some of these infections could have spread to his blood. That would be life-threatening. The words hit Nara like physical blows. Life-threatening. But he seemed fine. He was still training, still fighting. Because that is what you expected of him, Hyunwoo said. He began drying Kiru with clean towels, the Shardclaw leaning into the rough massage. Animals will push through incredible pain to please their companions. They do not want to disappoint. It does not mean they are not suffering. How do you know all this? One of the other crew members asked. How can a human read a Shardclaw so easily when Nara, who has been with him for years, could not? Hyunwoo thought about how to answer. On Earth, humans have been caring for animals for thousands of years. Not just domestic animals, but wild ones too. We learned to read body language, to spot signs of distress. We had to, because we were not always the strongest species on our planet. Understanding other creatures was survival. That is the death world thing, another crew member whispered. Humans had to learn or die. We also learned that strength comes in many forms, Hyunwoo continued. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you need help. Sometimes caring for another being gentle with them, creates a deeper bond than any amount of fighting together. Nara was shaking now, her whole body trembling. I thought I was honoring him. I thought treating him like a warrior meant treating him like he was strong enough to handle anything. He is strong, Hyunwoo assured her. Look at how much pain he was in and he still stood by your side. That is incredible strength. But now imagine how much stronger he will be when he is not suffering. Kiru, now mostly dry, walked over to Nara. The Shardclaw moved more smoothly than Hyunwoo had seen before, like the pain was already less without all that irritation on his skin. Kiru pressed his large head against Nara's shoulder and made a soft sound. Nara wrapped her arms around him and started crying. Big shaking sobs that she tried to muffle against Kiru's fur. The crew looked away, giving her privacy in her grief and shame. I am sorry, Nara whispered to Kiru. I am so sorry. I did not see. I should have seen. Hyunwoo gave them a moment, then said gently, He forgives you. Animals always forgive. That is one of the amazing things about them. Teach me. Nara looked up at Hyunwoo with tears streaming down her face. Teach me how to care for him properly. I do not care about tradition anymore. I do not care about what my people have always done. I care about Kiru, please. Hyunwoo nodded. Of course, but first we need to finish treating him. Isul, what do you recommend for the infections? Isul pulled out her medical scanner and did a thorough examination of Kiru. The Shardclaw tolerated it patiently, occasionally looking at Nara as if to make sure she was okay. Topical antibiotics for the external infections, Isul said. An anti-parasitic injection to make sure we get any parasites we missed. Some supplements to boost his immune system while he heals. And, she paused, looking at Nara, regular grooming. At least once a week, possibly more often while we clear up these problems. I will do it, Nara said immediately. Whatever he needs. We will do it together, Hyunwoo said. I will teach you everything I know, and if there are things specific to Shardclaws that I do not understand, we will figure them out together. Taemin cleared his throat. I believe I owe you an apology, Hyunwoo. When you first raised concerns, I dismissed them as cultural misunderstanding. I was wrong. We were all wrong, Nara said. She stood up, wiping her face. The human who has been here less than a month saw what I could not see in 5 years. That is humbling. It is not about being better, Hyunwoo said. It is about different perspectives. On Earth, we learned to work with nature, not just endure it. We learned that cooperation and care could be just as powerful as strength and dominance. That is why we survived on a death world. One of the crew members spoke up. I heard that humans used to swim with creatures that could eat them. Is that true? Yes. Sharks, whales, crocodiles. We learned their behavior, understood their needs. Some of us still do it for research and conservation. And you kept predators as pets, real predators? We still do. Wolves, which we turned into dogs over thousands of years. Cats, which are basically small ambush predators. Some people even keep snakes and lizards. We learned that most creatures, no matter how dangerous, just want to be comfortable and safe. Treat them with respect and care, and they will trust you. The crew was quiet, absorbing this information. It was one thing to hear stories about humans from death worlds. It was another to see it in action, to watch a human calmly handle a situation that had been invisible to everyone else. Hyunwoo finished treating Kiru's wounds, applying the antibiotics carefully. There, that should help. The redness will go down in a few days. The infection should clear up within a week if we keep the areas clean. Kiru looked at himself, seemingly amazed by how good he felt. He did a little hop, then a bigger one, landing easily on a crate that he had struggled to reach before. He looked back at everyone as if to say, "Look what I can do now." Nara laughed through her tears. He has not jumped like that in months. I thought he was just getting older. He might be getting older, but he should still be able to move well, Hyunwoo said. Pain ages everyone faster than time does. Will you show me everything? Nara asked. Not just the grooming, but how to read his body language, how to spot problems before they get this bad? Absolutely. And maybe you can teach me about shardclaw behavior from your culture's perspective. We can combine our knowledge, make something better than either of us had alone. Nara managed a small smile. I would like that. Though I warn you, after my entire crew saw Kiru covered in bubbles looking like the happiest creature in space, our reputation as fierce warriors might be damaged. Reputation is not as important as health, Taemin said. I think we all learned something today. Perhaps human knowledge is not so strange after all. Perhaps we have been too rigid in our traditions. Isol nodded. I should research what other care practices we might be missing. If we overlook something this serious with Kiru, what else might we be missing with other crew members? As the crew dispersed, talking among themselves about the incident, Hyunwoo packed up his cleaning supplies. Kiru stayed close, occasionally rubbing against his leg like a giant cat. Nara watched them. He likes you. I have never seen him warm up to someone so quickly. Animals know who cares about them, Hyunwoo said simply. They can sense intention. Can I ask you something? When you first saw Kiru, were you afraid? Hyunwoo considered the question. I was cautious. Respect and fear are different things. I respected that he could hurt me if he wanted to. But I was not afraid, no. He reminded me of the big dogs back home. Powerful, yes. Dangerous, potentially. But also just creatures who wanted to be comfortable and cared for. Nara shook her head in wonder. Humans are very strange, but maybe that is a good thing. Different does not mean better or worse, Hyunwoo said. Just different. We all have something to learn from each other. That night, Nara did not leave Kiru alone in her quarters as usual. Instead, she sat with him, really looking at him for the first time in a long time. Not as a warrior or a reputation, but as a living being who depended on her. And in his clean fur and healing skin, she saw the beginning of something new. The opportunity came 3 weeks after Hyunwoo joined the crew. The ship needed to pass through a debris field, which meant all navigation personnel had to be on the bridge for extended periods. Nara would be busy for at least 6 hours, maybe more if the field was as dense as the sensors suggested. Hyunwoo was doing his regular maintenance check in the cargo bay when he heard the familiar sound of claws on metal. He looked up to see Kiru wandering in, alone. The Shardclaw must have gotten bored waiting in Nara's quarters and decided to explore. Kiru saw Hyunwoo and stopped. The creature's red eyes studied him carefully. For a moment, neither of them moved. "Hey there, big guy," Hyunwoo said softly. He had been around enough animals to know that tone mattered more than words. "You are not looking so good, are you?" Kiru tilted his head, ears moving forward. The Shardclaw took a step closer, then stopped to scratch vigorously at his shoulder. The scratching went on for almost a full minute. When Kiru finally stopped, Hyunwoo could see the skin underneath was red and inflamed. That decided it. Hyunwoo could not watch this anymore. He slowly reached into his tool bag and pulled out one of the ration bars he kept for long work sessions. He held it out at arm's length. "Want a treat? Come here, buddy." Kiru's nose twitched. The Shardclaw moved forward cautiously, sniffed the bar, then took it gently from Hyunwoo's hand. While Kiru ate, Hyunwoo carefully touched the creature's shoulder right near the inflamed spot. Kiru flinched but did not pull away. Up close, Hyunwoo could see the problem clearly. Under the matted fur and between the scales were colonies of tiny parasites, so small they were almost invisible. The skin was infected in several places with yellow fluid seeping from sores. "Oh, buddy," Hyunwoo whispered. "That must hurt so much. Why did nobody see this?" He thought quickly. The cargo bay had a cleaning station with water access for washing equipment. If he worked fast, he might have time to at least clean Kiru's worst areas before Nara came looking for her companion. Hyunwoo moved to the cleaning station and began setting up. He adjusted the water temperature to be warm, but not hot. He found some mild cleaning solution that was safe for organic materials. He grabbed several clean cloths from the supply cabinet. The hard part was getting Kiru to the cleaning station. But the Shardclaw seemed to understand somehow that Hyunwoo was trying to help. Maybe animals just knew these things. Hyunwoo had seen it before with injured dogs who would let strangers help them, when they normally would not allow anyone close. "Come on, Kiru. This will make you feel better, I promise." Kiru followed him to the cleaning station. When Hyunwoo started the water, the Shardclaw jumped back, startled. But Hyunwoo kept his voice calm and steady, and after a moment, Kiru came back. The first touch of warm water made Kiru's entire body stiffen. Then slowly, the creature began to relax. Hyunwoo worked carefully, wetting down the matted fur and gently working through the tangles. The cleaning solution created bubbles, lots of bubbles. Soon Kiru was covered in white foam. As Hyunwoo worked, he found more problems than he had expected. Several scales were cracked and infected. There were thorns embedded in Kiru's paws, probably from some planet they had visited weeks ago. The creature's teeth had buildup on them. This was not just about parasites, this was about months or maybe years of neglected basic care. But the amazing thing was how Kiru responded. As Hyunwoo cleaned away the dirt and parasites as he carefully removed thorns and treated infected areas, the Shardclaw made a sound that Hyunwoo had never heard before. It was a deep, rumbling purr like a cat, but much louder. "You like that, do you not?" Hyunwoo smiled, working the soap through Kiru's fur. "When was the last time someone took care of you properly? When was the last time you felt truly comfortable?" Kiru's answer was to lean into Hyunwoo's hands, eyes half closed in contentment. The fearsome predator, the warrior companion, was acting exactly like every dog Hyunwoo had ever bathed back on Earth. Hyunwoo was so focused on his work that he did not hear the cargo bay door open. He did not hear the footsteps approaching. He only noticed when he heard the sharp intake of breath. He looked up to see Nara standing 10 feet away, her mouth open in shock. Kiru sat in the middle of the cleaning station, covered from head to tail in soap bubbles. White foam dripped from his ears, his snout, his scales. His tail was completely white, and the expression on his face was one of absolute bliss. The Shardclaw was practically smiling, still making that deep purring sound. "What?" Nara's voice came out as barely a whisper. "What are you doing?" Hyunwoo straightened up, water dripping from his hands. "I am bathing him. I am sorry, I know you said not to, but he was in pain. Look at all this infection. Look at these parasites. He needed help." Nara just stared. Her brain seemed to be having trouble processing what her eyes were seeing. Her fierce warrior companion, her proud Shardclaw, was sitting in a tub of bubbles looking like the happiest creature in the galaxy. He is covered in bubbles, Nara said, as if this was the most important detail. Yes, that is how soap works. It lifts the dirt and parasites away from the skin. The warm water soothes the inflammation. Basic grooming for animals with fur and scales. Kiru, hearing Nara's voice, turned to look at her. Bubbles slid down his face. He made a happy chirping sound, like he wanted her to see how good he felt. Nara's face went through several emotions at once. Shock gave way to confusion. Confusion gave way to something that might have been anger, but looked more like embarrassment. Her ears flattened completely against her head. You made him look. He is supposed to be. Nara could not seem to finish a sentence. Other crew members started to arrive, drawn by the commotion. Taman appeared first, followed by Isul and several others. They all stopped and stared at the scene before them. The fearsome Shardclaw covered in bubbles, purring contentedly while a human scrubbed behind his ears. By the stars, Taman breathed. Is that Kiru? Someone asked. He looks so. Happy, Isul said, wonder in her voice. Nara made a strangled sound. She looked at her crew members, at their amazed faces, then back at Kiru. Her companion, her warrior, was now going to be remembered as the Shardclaw who loved bubble baths. I can explain, Hyunwoo said. He held up his hands, which were covered in dirty foam. Look at this. See all this yellow and brown? Those are parasites and infection. Kiru was suffering. He has been suffering for a long time. When I started washing him, I found cracked scales, embedded thorns, infected sores. He needed medical care, not just cleaning. Isul stepped forward, her medical instincts overcoming her shock. She looked closely at the dirty water draining away, at the materials Hyunwoo had removed from Kiru's coat. Her large eyes widened. Those are pain parasites, she said quietly. They burrow into the skin and create chronic pain. How long has he had these? I do not know, Hyunwoo said. But based on the infection level, I would guess several months at least. Nara's face had gone pale under her golden fur. Months? But he did not seem. He did seem, Hyunwoo said gently. He scratched constantly. He rubbed against walls. He moved more slowly. He failed jumps he should have made easily. All the signs were there. The cargo bay was silent except for the sound of running water and Kiru's contented purring. Nara stood frozen, staring at her companion. The Shardclaw looked back at her, and for the first time she saw him clearly. Not as the warrior she wanted him to be, but as the living creature he actually was. A creature who had been in pain, and she had not noticed. 3 days passed before Hyunwoo found the courage to speak up. During those days he watched Kiru carefully whenever the Shardclaw was nearby. The scratching got worse. Sometimes the creature would rub against walls trying to reach spots it could not scratch with its claws. Once Hyunwoo saw Kiru bite at its own tail, pulling out chunks of matted fur. Nara never seemed to notice these things. She was always busy with her navigation duties, and when she was with Kiru, she focused on training exercises or feeding time. She saw her companion as a warrior, strong and proud. She did not see the discomfort. On the 4th day, Hyunwoo found Nara in the common area during the rest period. She was cleaning her weapons while Kiru lay beside her, scratching at the same spot on his shoulder over and over again. Hyunwoo took a deep breath and walked over. Nara, can I talk to you about something? She looked up and smiled. Of course, human, sit down. Are you settling in well? Yes, thank you. Everyone has been very kind. Hyunwoo sat down, choosing his words carefully. I wanted to ask you about Kiru. I have noticed he scratches himself quite a lot. Has he always done that? Nara's smile faded slightly. Shardclaws are active creatures. They move around. It is natural. I understand, but this seems like more than normal movement. Look at how he is digging at that spot. And there are patches in his fur that look matted. On Earth, when animals behaved like this, it usually meant they had skin problems or parasites. The change in Nara's expression was immediate. Her ears flattened against her head and her green eyes went cold. Parasites? You think Kiru has parasites? I am just suggesting it might be worth checking. Sometimes even the strongest animals need help with grooming and health care. It is nothing to be ashamed of. Nara stood up quickly and Kiru rose with her, sensing her mood change. Kiru is not some soft pet that needs pampering. He is a Shardclaw, a warrior companion. My people have kept these creatures for thousands of years. We know how to care for them. I did not mean to offend you, Hyunwoo said, also standing. I was only trying to help. Help? Nara's voice grew louder, and other crew members started to look over. You have been on this ship for 4 days, human, 4 days. And you think you know more about Shardclaws than I do? Than my entire species does. Temin appeared from the corridor, drawn by the raised voices. What is happening here? Nara pointed at Hyunwoo. The human thinks Kiru needs to be groomed like some earth pet. He suggests my companion has parasites, as if I would allow such a thing. Taemin looked at Hyunwoo with those studying yellow eyes. Is this true? I only suggested that Kiru might be uncomfortable, Hyunwoo said calmly. I have experience with animals on Earth. The scratching behavior and matted fur are usually signs of a problem. And you think your Earth experience applies to a Shardclaw? Taemin asked. I think discomfort is discomfort no matter what species. Pain and irritation show themselves in similar ways across many creatures. Isol, the medical officer, joined them. She was shorter than the others, with smooth purple skin and large black eyes. What seems to be the problem? Nara explained again, her voice tight with anger. Isol listened, then looked at Kiru. The Shardclaw had gone back to scratching, this time at his back leg. Shardclaws are self-sufficient creatures, Isol said slowly. They do not require the same care as domestic animals. Their biology is quite different from Earth species. But surely all creatures need to be kept clean, Hyunwoo said. Surely health maintenance is universal. You are applying human standards to non-human creatures, Taemin said firmly. This is exactly the kind of thinking that makes other species uncomfortable around humans. You assume your ways are better, that your knowledge applies everywhere. Hyunwoo felt heat rise to his face. That is not what I meant. I just thought. You thought wrong, Nara interrupted. Kiru is fine. He is strong and healthy. Just because he does not meet your Earth standards of cleanliness does not mean something is wrong. Maybe humans are just obsessed with being too clean. Did you consider that? Several crew members murmured agreement. Hyunwoo looked around and saw the same expression on many faces. They were siding with Nara, seeing him as the outsider trying to impose his views. In my culture, Nara continued, her voice shaking with emotion, treating a war companion like a pet is deeply insulting. It suggests weakness. It suggests that the creature cannot care for itself, that the bond between warrior and companion is not strong enough. You do not understand this because humans do not have the same traditions. On Earth we had many strong predators. Hyunwoo said quietly. Wolves, lions, bears. We lived alongside them. We even kept some as companions. And we bathed them, groomed them, cared for their health. It did not make them weak. It made the bond stronger. Nara laughed, but it was not a kind sound. You expect me to believe that humans lived with apex predators? That you kept them as companions? Humans are from a moderate world, not much different from 1,000 others. You are not special no matter what the stories say. Actually, Isul said softly, Earth is classified as a Class 9 death world. The stories about human survival capabilities are well documented in the galactic records. Nara waved her hand dismissively. Stories are just stories. I judge what I see in front of me, and what I see is a human who has been here 4 days trying to tell me how to care for my own companion. That is arrogance. Hyunwoo felt his frustration growing, but he kept his voice level. I apologize if I offended you. That was not my intention. I will not bring it up again. Good, Nara said. She turned to leave and Kiru followed her. The Shardclaw paused to scratch one more time before disappearing down the corridor. The common area was quiet after they left. Hyunwoo could feel everyone watching him. He looked at Taemin. I really was just trying to help, he said. Taemin's expression softened slightly. I believe you. But you must understand, every species has pride in their traditions. Nara's people have kept Shardclaws for longer than humans have had space travel. Suggesting they have been doing it wrong is difficult to accept. Even if the animal is suffering. Is it suffering? Isul asked. Or is it simply behaving in a way that seems wrong to you because of your Earth background? These are the questions we must ask before we interfere with other cultures. Hyunwoo nodded slowly, but he did not agree. He had seen too much in Kiru's behavior to believe everything was fine. The creature was uncomfortable at the very least, possibly in pain. Over the next 2 weeks, Hyunwoo tried to focus on his work. He fixed the old Earth systems, improved efficiency in the engine room, and kept to himself during mealtimes. But he could not stop watching Kiru whenever the Shardclaw was around. The scratching got worse. New bare patches appeared in Kiru's fur. The creature started moving more slowly, like its joints hurt. Once, Hyunwoo saw Kiru try to jump onto a high platform and fail, something that should have been easy for such a powerful creature. Nara still did not see it. Or maybe she did see it but refused to acknowledge it. Either way, she continued to treat Kiru as she always had, proud and certain of her methods. Hyunwoo lay in his quarters at night, staring at the ceiling. He thought about the dogs on Earth who had depended on humans to notice when something was wrong. He thought about responsibility and care, about the difference between strength and stubbornness. He knew what he had to do. He just had to wait for the right moment. The cargo vessel Stellar Dawn hummed through the darkness of space, its old engines creating a steady rhythm that the crew had grown used to over the years. Today was different, though. Today they were getting a new crew member, and not just any crew member. They were getting a human. Hyunwoo stood in the docking bay with his single travel bag, looking around at the ship that would be his home for the next year. Everything seemed bigger than he expected. The corridors were wide, the ceilings high, and the air had a strange smell he could not quite identify. He took a deep breath and waited for someone to greet him. Captain Taemin arrived first. He was tall, much taller than Hyunwoo, with golden fur covering his face and arms. His ears were pointed and moved slightly when he spoke. He looked at Hyunwoo with bright yellow eyes that seemed to study every detail. "You must be the human engineer," Taemin said. His voice was deep and careful, like he was choosing each word with thought. "Yes, sir. My name is Hyunwoo. Thank you for hiring me." Hyunwoo bowed slightly. The way he had been taught was polite on Earth. Taemin's ears twitched. "We needed someone who understands old Earth technology. Our ship uses some outdated systems that no one else knows how to fix anymore. Come, I will show you around." As they walked through the ship, Hyunwoo noticed other crew members watching him from doorways and corners. Some looked curious, others looked worried. One crew member, a short being with blue skin and too many eyes, actually moved away when Hyunwoo smiled and waved. "They will get used to you," Taemin said, noticing the reaction. "Humans have a reputation in this part of space. Many stories, not all of them pleasant." "What kind of stories?" Hyunwoo asked. Taemin's ears flattened against his head. "Stories about death worlds and survivors. About a species that refuses to give up no matter what. Some find that admirable. Others find it frightening." They reached the engineering deck and Taemin showed Hyunwoo his workspace. It was filled with machines and tools, many of which Hyunwoo recognized from his training. He felt himself relax a little. At least he would know what to do with his hands. "Your quarters are next door," Taemin said. "The medical officer, Isul, will check on you later to make sure you are adjusting well to the ship's environment. Dinner is at the 7th hour in the common area. I expect you there." "Yes, sir." "Thank you, sir." After Taemin left, Hyunwoo unpacked his few belongings. He had brought pictures of Earth, some books, and a small plant in a sealed container. He placed the plant on his desk where it could get light from the room's simulator. It made the space feel more like home. The 7th hour came quickly. Hyunwoo made his way to the common area, following the signs on the walls. The room was larger than he expected, with tables and chairs designed for different body types. The crew was already there, about 15 beings in total, all different species. Hyunwoo got his food from the dispenser and looked for a place to sit. Before he could choose, a voice called out, "Human, sit here." A young female with golden fur similar to Taemin's waved at him. She had bright green eyes and a wide smile that showed sharp teeth. Next to her sat the largest creature Hyunwoo had ever seen outside of a zoo. The creature was like a massive cat mixed with a lizard. It had dark scales covering parts of its body, with patches of rough fur in between. Its eyes were deep red, and when it looked at Hyunwoo, he could see intelligence there. Scars covered its face and shoulders. One of its ears had a chunk missing. This was clearly something that had seen many fights. "I am Nara," the young female said as Hyunwoo carefully sat down across from her. "I am the navigator," This is Kiru, my companion. The creature, Kiru, made a low rumbling sound and watched Hyunwoo with unblinking eyes. He is beautiful, Hyunwoo said, because it seemed like the polite thing to say. Nara's smile grew wider. You have good taste, human. Kiru is a shardclaw, one of the most dangerous predators in the known galaxy. Only the strongest warriors of my people can tame them. I found Kiru when he was young and raised him myself. Now he is my partner in everything. The other crew members at nearby tables were watching this interaction with interest. Some looked impressed that Hyunwoo was sitting so close to the shardclaw. Others looked like they were waiting for something bad to happen. Hyunwoo studied Kiru more carefully. The creature was impressive, certainly. Those claws could probably tear through metal. Those teeth could bite through bone. But Hyunwoo had grown up with dogs on Earth, big ones that other people feared. He knew how to read body language, how to spot discomfort in animals, and Kiru looked uncomfortable. The shardclaw kept shifting its weight. It scratched at its side with a back leg, digging between the scales and fur. Its breathing seemed heavier than it should be for a creature just sitting still. And there was a smell, faint but present, like something was not quite clean. How long have you had him? Hyunwoo asked, trying to sound casual. 5 years now, Nara said proudly. He has protected me through 3 pirate attacks and 1 station riot. Everyone on the ship respects Kiru. I can see why, Hyunwoo said. He watched as Kiru scratched again, this time at its neck. The creature made a small unhappy sound. Nara did not seem to notice. She continued talking about Kiru's accomplishments, the battles they had fought together, the reputation they had earned. The other crew members joined in, sharing their own stories about the fearsome shardclaw. Hyunwoo nodded and smiled in the right places, but his mind was elsewhere. He was thinking about the dogs back home, about the horses on his uncle's farm, about the proper care of animals. He was thinking about how uncomfortable Kiru looked, and how no one else seemed to see it. After dinner, Hyunwoo returned to his quarters. He pulled up information about shardclaws on his datapad, reading everything he could find. The articles talked about their strength, their intelligence, their use as war companions, but there was very little about their actual care needs, about grooming or health maintenance. He looked at the pictures of Kiru in his mind, comparing them to the images on his screen. Something was definitely wrong. The patches of fur should be smoother. The scales should shine more. And that scratching was a clear sign of skin irritation or parasites. Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling. He had been on this ship for less than 1 day and he had already spotted a problem. The question was what to do about it. These aliens had their own cultures, their own ways of doing things. Who was he, a newcomer, to suggest that they were doing something wrong? But then he thought about Kiru's uncomfortable shifting, the way the creature had scratched and scratched. He thought about the dogs on Earth who depended on humans to keep them healthy and comfortable. He would have to say something. He just had to figure out how.